Let's say China.
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 China. China.
China.
China.
There are no storm movers, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
You go over to China.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Trump statement, tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel. What's he doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host.
Yes, hello, and welcome. I am James Andrews, and you are listening to So This Happened, the only news you need if your name is Orenthal. It's Thursday, the 20th of July, 2017, and just moments ago, O.J. Simpson was granted parole and will be released from prison as soon as October. Now, in his parole hearing, he made the rather bold statement, "I've spent a conflict-free life," which for a man convicted of battery to his wife is a bit of a stretch, but nonetheless, OJ, who is 70 years old, how the hell did that happen, right? 70. He has been granted parole and will leave prison. So, I don't know, lock up your daughters? What do? I don't know. I mean, he's an old man now, so, you know, what's he going to do with all his time? It's possible he'll get into politics, right? He'd be a shoo-in for the President of the United States, I think. With a record like his, he'd slip right in there, wouldn't he? And I do just want to take a moment to acknowledge John McCain, who last night was diagnosed with brain cancer. And politics aside, John McCain I've always found to be a pretty straight-up guy. Certainly an American hero after spending all that time in a prisoner of war camp. And whether or not you agree with his politics, he has dedicated a vast majority of his life to help out the American people. So John, kick the shit out of that cancer, my friend. Oh, and bad news just keeps happening today. Just popped up on my feed here. Chester Bennington, who is the lead singer for Linkin Park, has died at age 41. It appears that he hung himself. And I hope that whatever demons followed him through his life don't follow him on to wherever he's going. So, peace, brother. And in a very rare moment, Donald Trump had an interview with the New York Times. The fake New York Times, right? Yeah, he sat down with reporters from the New York Times and discussed things. And some of those things were fairly enlightening, not least of which was this statement on Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
Sessions gets the job. Right after he gets the job, he recuses himself.
Was that a mistake?
Well, Sessions should have never recused himself. And if he was going to recuse himself, he should have told me before he took the job, and I would have picked somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
He gave you no heads up at all in any sense.
Zero.
Okay.
So Jeff Sessions takes the job, gets into the job, recuses himself. I then have, which frankly, I think is very unfair to the president. How do you take a job and then recuse yourself? If he would have recused himself before the job, I would have said, thanks, Jeff, but I can't, I'm not going to take you. It's extremely unfair, and that's a mild word, to the president.
So there's Donald Trump talking in third person about himself, which I'm sure there is a psychological reason for that, but I'm not the man to figure that one out. Anyway, Jeff Sessions responded today to the remarks that Donald Trump said, and, here's that racist fuck Sessions.
We in this Department of Justice will continue every single day to work hard to serve the national interest, and we wholeheartedly join in the priorities of President Trump. He gave us several directives. One is to dismantle transnational criminal organizations. That's what we're announcing today. The dismantling of the largest dark website in the world by far. And I congratulate our people for that. I have the honor of serving as Attorney General. It's something that goes beyond any thought I would have ever had for myself. We love this job, we love this department, and I plan to continue to do so as long as that is appropriate.
Well, there was Jeff referring to himself in the third person as well. Did you notice that? He used the royal we. We love this job. We are happy in this job. We are happy. And the other part there was Jeff Sessions there talking about the dark web. I guarantee you he has absolutely no idea what that is. He is probably the kind of man who has to call friends and say, my internet on my phone is not working, my emails they ain't not working, I don't know what's this thing, I don't understand, I pressed the but nothing, it just did not know, well, there's a thing and I pressed that and I don't know. Now the screen's gone. Oh, it's gone black. Oh, this is bad. I might have been hacked by the Russians because my screen just went black. Jeff, it just timed out. Just touch it, it'll come back on. Huh. Well, golly gosh, would you look at that? It came right back on, but I still can't get my emails. So there he was, Jeff Sessions, a man who is probably Attorney General for what, 24 hours more, maybe, if he's lucky. You're fired. That's coming very soon, isn't it? Very soon. Anyway, back to Donald and that New York Times interview. He was then asked about Robert Mueller, who is investigating the possible election-related Trump-Russia ties, and, he went on to say, yeah, well, you know what? He does himself better than I do. So, ladies and gentlemen, the president. Well, actually, there's a reporter first and then the president, but you get what I'm saying.
Mueller was looking at your finances, your family's finances, unrelated to Russia. Is that a red line?
Would that be a breach of what his actual?
I would say
yes.
Yeah, I would say yes. By the way, I would say I mean, it's possible that it's condo or something. So I sell a lot of condo units, and somebody from Russia buys a condo. Who knows? I don't make money from Russia. In fact, I put out a letter saying that I don't make from one of the most highly respected law firms and accounting firms. I don't have buildings in Russia. They said I own buildings in Russia. I don't. They said I made money from Russia. No, it's not my thing. I don't do that. Over the years, I've looked at maybe doing a deal in Russia, but I never did one. Other than I held them as universe pension. They're 8, 9.
But if he was...
So there he is, Donald Trump. He has no ties to Russia whatsoever, and he said it, so it must be true. And then the reporters went on to ask about the second meeting that Donald Trump had with Vladimir Putin, the one that he forgot he had. And, well, he tried to explain that one, and again, he'll probably do it better than I could, so here he is again.
She's sitting next to Putin and somebody else, and that's the way it is. So the meal is going through. And toward dessert, I went down just to say hello to Melania, and while I was there, I said hello to Putin. Really pleasantries, more than anything else. Was not a long conversation, but it was, could be 15 minutes, just talked about things. It was very interesting. We talked about adoption.
You did?
Russian adoption, yeah. I've always found that interesting because, he ended that years ago. And I actually talked about Russian adoption with him, which is interesting because that was a part of the conversation that Don had with this meeting that I think, as I said, most other people, when they call up and they say, by the way, we have information on your opponent. I think most politicians, I was just with a lot of people, they said, who wouldn't have taken a meeting like that?
Okay, let's break that down. So, sorry, it's funny and deep breath. Compose yourself, James. Compose yourself. Okay, let's break down what he just said there. Okay, so they asked him about the second meeting with Vladimir Putin. So Donald said, well, yeah, it was a dinner and I thought I'd pop down and see Melania because she was missing me. She wasn't, by the way, but, he said, oh, yeah, Melania was missing me, so I popped down there, and I just happened to bump into Vladimir Putin there. So I said, hello, Putin, how are you? And we talked for 15 minutes, and really, it was just pleasantries. That's all we talked about was pleasantries, sort of, thanks for helping out with the election, etc. Then he went on to completely contradict the pleasantries statement by saying, actually, you know what we talked about? Adoptions. Yeah, just randomly, out of nowhere. You know, I'm meeting the president of Russia, and the first thing I say is, hi, how you doing? Let's talk about adoptions, shall we? Because they weigh pretty heavily on my heart. And so what do you think, Vladimir, about adoptions? Oh, and by the way, that's exactly what they talked to Don Jr. about, was adoptions. The Russians are obsessed with fucking adoptions. What is this? So there was Donald Trump not answering a question at all, and in fact making up, and I'm going to go on record saying this, a complete fucking lie. He did not talk to Vladimir Putin about adoptions. And then the interview continued with the interviewers asking him about the email that Donald Trump Jr. received about the Russians promising to provide dirt on Hillary Clinton. And he went on to sort of not explain that as well, but at the very end of this segment, he gets so busted, it is spectacular. Have a listen to this.
I didn't look at it very closely, to be honest with you. Okay. I just heard there was an email requesting a meeting or something, requesting a meeting, that they have information on Hillary Clinton. And I said, I mean, that's standard political stuff.
Did you know at the time that they had the meeting?
No, I didn't know anything about the meeting.
But you know, you gave us.
It must have been a very unimportant meeting because I never even heard about it.
No one told you a word, nothing. I know we talked about this in the plane a little bit, but nobody.
No, nobody told me. I didn't know that.
You know,
it was a very unimportant. Sounded like a very unimportant meeting.
The day you clinched the nomination with New Jersey and California and the primaries and so forth, you give a speech that night saying you're going to give a speech about Hillary Clinton's corrupt dealings with Russia and other countries, and that comes just 3 hours after Don Jr.
Number one, I made.
People wondered about the timing.
Many of those speeches. Yeah, I'd go after her all the time.
And there it is, folks. Donald Trump getting completely busted by the New York Times. And let's break down that little segment, shall we? Okay, so he said, oh, it was a very unimportant meeting, so unimportant, I didn't even hear about it. Yet, just minutes before, he'd said, oh, you know what's really interesting? We talked to Vladimir Putin about adoptions, because I am absolutely intrigued by adoptions. They're really important. But only if it's me that they're being talked to about. If they're talking to my son, nah, it's fucking boring, not important at all. And then, you know, hours after the emails, Donald Trump's there in New Jersey on stage going, oh, and a little birdie told me something today about Hillary Clinton. And so, the president spoke to the fake news media. And it was spectacular. And we spent almost the entire program on that today. And, well, I make no apologies because I think it was all interesting and somewhat important. And I just want to end today. John McCain just tweeted out something, and I want to read it. It's pretty great. He said, I greatly appreciate the outpouring of support. Unfortunately for my sparring partners in Congress, I'll be back soon, so stand by. And I, for one, John McCain, hope that you are back soon. Anyway, that is the end of the show. Thank you so much for chatting with me, and we will do it again tomorrow at the same time and the same... I was going to say bat channel, but then I thought that would be really crap if you say that. So I'm not going to say that. You can always follow the interesting story on Twitter at SoThisHappened. And if you like the podcast, please subscribe, like, recommend it to a friend, and write a nice little review because, well, my ego enjoys reading them. So, good night. Bye.